5. That's it. Well, it's a good evening from the studios of Radio FM 88 in Brisbane, Australia, and I have to say it's been liquid sunshine. It's I think we've had enough of that liquid sunshine. We want to get back to our normality of actual sunshine. But anyway, without further ado, my guests are all from the UK. Naturally, at the very top of the totem pole in green today, none other than our mate Andrena Forrest. She obviously wants to get back into the forest and blend with its nature spirit. All right. Good morning to you.
Morning, Jeffrey, or good evening to you. Morning, Matthew, and it's with great pleasure we have Matthew on the show today. So today is the 27th of March and a few days left, and we go into April, do you believe? And we changed the clocks this weekend, and it's Mother's Day, so it's a busy weekend over in the UK. I don't know about anywhere else. So anyway, it was lovely to see you again, Matthew. And we had you on the show a couple of years ago now talking about Ark-Healing, which you're the founder of. So this time you're going to talk about your new book, because you're an author, a healer, a visionary, and you do higher self to higher self readings. And I know we heard some of your story before, but I'd love you to start again for those people that haven't heard you to speak again, how it all started and how it's come about, because this is your second book. So would you like to start at the very beginning? And welcome.
Thank you very much. And hello to anybody and everybody. And thank you for hosting as well. So for me, my oldest memories, everything is this where I am now is the foundation is based in my childhood, and from my very first experience with a spiritual energy. And this spiritual energy taught me something very important. So I'm talking about when I was about 3 years old. So it's a long ago memory. And there used to be this what was a negative entity in my granddad's house. Okay, and it used to reside at the top of the stairs, and even the adults in the house would run past this place. They'd just scoot past it. And me and my sister, we had a competition one day, who could get the closest to this spirit. And as we're going up the stairs, I was able to push my energy against it, even at 3 years old. My sister, she just got up and she just ran past this thing, and so I pushed my way against its energy. And when I got to the top of the stairs, it said to me that I could sit on the step lower than it. And that's what I did. And so that very fundamental moment there in my life actually set me up for the most important question I've ever had. And the one that I really feel that we really need to be giving out into the world. And that's a question of empowerment over disempowerment. And any situation we ever come into, we need to look at where we're being disempowered or not. So that entity there actually gave me the option to disempower myself. Okay, even though I was very young and I didn't know what I was doing at that point, I chose to agree with it and sit on the step below it. It actually allowed me to disempower myself. And so that's been a fundamental thing of my life. Sorry, I've got a cat. Going to try and knock the laptop over. Me, the cat, trying to knock over the laptop.
This is live.
And so that there has been a fundamental for my life, and it's really raised a lot of questions for me, no matter what I'm doing. And don't get me wrong, I've not got it right for a long time, but now I'm really starting to get into that power of it and really understand what that's about. And that's why I ended up creating Ark-Healing. So Ark-Healing is a healing modality, but it's not something where it's a hands-on healing modality. It's actually a guided process that people can use for themselves in order to help them work through their own issues. Okay, so it's not about handing your power over to somebody else, because and the reason why that came about was I went down the mediumship route of talking, taking people through readings, connecting to spirits, like the Aunt Mabel type of connection, that sort of thing. And I was in this. I felt my energy system becoming very dirty. Okay, because a lot of the time when we're connected into the into that spirit realm, a lot of the time it is in the lower astral plane. So we're getting attachments to us. And I was looking to try and find a way to clean up my energy system, and nobody really knew how to do it. And the people that I was engaging with at the time, they were very much into their spirit guides, and without really knowing who their spirit guides were. When I was doing it, I knew my spirit guides. I couldn't not. I actually placed them in the world where they were, with my spirit guides. But other people seem to be, and I'm not disrespecting anybody because everyone's on their journey. It's not about me being some super thing. It's just I got really worried about how dirty my energy field was. And I just went off to find out how to clean my energy system up and what the best way to do about, best way to go about that was. And over time, through just trial and error, I created a healing modality. And I didn't mean to do that. That just happened. I just wrote down what I was doing and my experiences. And I wanted to share that with people, and that's what Ark-Healing is about: is empowering people to do what they need to do in order to clean their energy system up and be in the power. And and to me, it's beautiful because people can do that and learn it for themselves, and that's the bottom line. And that's empowerment over disempowerment. You see, here comes the cat again.
I look for the soundtrack, Felix the cat.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's lovely little thing. But, so that's the basis of my journey, and as a result of that, because I spent, at that point there I was creating Ark-Healing. It used to be called passive state healing, and the reason was for the passive state part was purely to give the information that as a practitioner I couldn't supply the energy. All I could do is be the guide, and that's it, which is for me is there's truth in that. For me, that's my particular thing. Whereas a lot of other people choose to invoke another being to do something for them. So my understanding of that is that if you can invoke a being to do something for you, and you can hold the energy of that being, that actually it's you that has the power if you're holding the energy of that being. So you don't need to do that. And as a result, I feel there's a clear definition. And like I say, people are on the journey, and this is not about right or wrong for anybody. So I don't believe in the right and wrong. I believe in the experience is really important. But I was doing a lot of work with Archangel Michael, okay? And when I was working with him, there's always two versions, okay? And you have the positive one and the negative one. And it's because we're living in duality and polarity. And one will come to you and do things for you, and the other one will support you in your actions. So the one that does things for you is actually disempowering you, because it's actually taking away your energy and your power and your ability to shape and create your reality. Not that I've got that worked out totally. I'm in a situation where I'm growing. And so where I am now with the Emergence of Light and bringing that through is that book was actually written off the back of a mushroom experience. Okay.
Mushroom.
And, magic mushrooms.
Oh.
So that's the basis of that.
And why not?
Well, I've never done it before. I'm an advocate of I'm a sugar addict, but apart from things like that, I don't do any sort of recreational drugs, and I certainly still don't do now. But I did. I was really cool to have this experience, and I spoke to a friend of mine. This is the prologue. Can I read the prologue? Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
So the back page is obviously it's the back page, but so I'm going to read the prologue. So forgive me for this, but this kind of explains where this comes from, because even though it's a mushroom experience, and wow, what an experience that was, I had no idea what I was getting into at all. And I think if anybody goes down that route, then just be aware of that one.
Quite.
So I'll just read it. So, and the prologue is entitled, "I was simply called to have the experience." Okay. So This book is about bringing together of years of spiritual development with all the ideas and concepts that I had managed to bring into my awareness. And just to clarify, the mushroom journey I am sharing is not about promoting or glorifying the use of drugs, especially in a recreational way. I was simply called to have the experience. I pondered whether or not I should do it, but a feeling of compulsion had become very loud in my mind. So I decided that if I ever were to embark on such an experience, it would be just once and it would have to be meaningful. I researched the effects, weighed the risks, and spoke to people who had taken mushrooms. And one of my friends' advice stood out. And he said, you need to take enough that you think you've taken too much. And so then it goes on to say, thank you for that, Alan. And I literally took his words. Honestly, I took his words more literally than I should have, to be fair. And so, I'll go on. So was it the safest approach? Probably not. But I didn't want to muck around. And all I wanted was the full experience. And I reasoned, if this was going to be my one and only time, I thought, why not go all in? And what happened next was beyond anything I could ever have imagined. Despite all my preparation, I had no idea where this journey would take me or how profound the experience was to be. So at that point there, I found a friend of mine called Georgie, right? And she facilitates these experiences. And right. I said to her, I need to go all in. And I said, I need to do 5 milligrams. And that's a lot. Okay. So anybody I know, anybody it's referred to as the heroic dose. Okay. Or categorize it as a bit stupid, right? And, I took it and I thought, okay, let's do it. And she advised me against it. She said, it's your first go. You really probably shouldn't be doing this. I said, but no, I explained the situation. I've been called to do it. And that's the number in my head. And, within about 15 minutes, I was inside the psychedelic realm after taking it, and, I know you get these experiences. And one thing that I know about, sometimes they can go negative, sometimes they can be positive. And I'm in the psychedelic realm at the beginning and I'm going, it's beautiful. I don't know if you guys have ever done anything like that. And
no, I haven't. So you keep sharing because this is an eye-opener.
So I was stood there and everything it went very pearlescent for me. It went very pearlescent, and I could see all the geometric shapes, and everything was just fizzing with life. But it held no interest to me. Okay, I could taste it as well. You could, been in, having taken that much, I could taste and feel everything, and everything was so pronounced. It's just a beautiful, stunning experience. But I didn't want to be there. The idea for me to do it is I wanted to speak to the manager. This is where I got stuck. I got stuck in the psychedelic round. I go, no, I want to speak to the manager. I don't want all this beautiful stuff. I don't want this beauty at all. And I'm stood there and I'm getting quite annoyed with it. And then I had this, I was in there in the psychedelic round, not for very long. It was about 15, maybe 20 minutes before I realized that actually, I was having a negative experience. Even though I was in that beauty and surrounded by all of that, which is the fabric of everything, it's just stunning. And just for the record, I feel that the mushrooms, you don't get high for the mushrooms. All they do is they undo your blocks, and so you can actually see and experience what you should do. So I had this realization that actually I was stuck inside the psychedelic realm because I was refusing, and I have been refusing to see my light. And part of this thing about Ark-Healing, it's all it's about removal of karma, disconnecting lower energies, demons, demonic stuff, and it works. I'll get some really good results in, and the demonic releasement stuff is just off the wall, and it works. So I've kind of, in a way, fashioned myself as Professor Snape, Professor of the Dark Arts. Well, I didn't realize I was doing that, but I was just, taking the fight sort of thing to the negative, and I was in there, but I actually used it as a way of not seeing myself. Really, and that's the truth of that. And once I had that realization, actually, I'd locked myself in that dark arena at that lower vibration. Vibration, you talk about lower and higher, there's lots of different variations within that, which is, the lower is not really the right description for that, because the darkness can be extremely high vibrational as well. But anyway, so I saw myself in that way, and had that realization that I hadn't been seeing myself at all, and I then just let that go. In that moment of realization, what I've been doing to myself, and I've been disempowering myself, and that was a minute, that was a moment, wow, just to let that go. And so Georgie, she had set this room up for me. There was music playing in there, and then as I'm going through this process, I'm looking down the hallway, and there's candles in there, but there's a being in there pulling me in, and I'm going, oh, here we go. So I went, okay, I've got to go. I've got to do it. And I walked into the room, shut the door. And honestly, the effects of I sat down on the floor, and the effects of the journey were the mushrooms was overwhelming. And I passed out. I've got to say, I passed out. And I know I was out for probably another quarter of an hour, 20 minutes. And I woke up.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I've just passed out on the floor. It was just so much. But that's okay, because in my life, certainly my spiritual life, whenever I go to a different place, what I do is in order to connect to the energy of the place, what I will do is I'll go to sleep, and then I'll wake up again, and I'll wake up within the energy system of that place. It's kind of like, just powering down and coming back out. So it's kind of, even though I passed out, that's what I kind of did. But I woke up in the astral plane, and that is not a place you want to be waking up in. And so there's so there's all these beings, and they're all having a pop at me. They're all having a go at me, trying to scare me. And I'll be fair, it was a scary moment. And I was there going, I'm thinking, in the book, there is some swearing, and this is one of those moments. I don't want to disrespect the show by swearing. It's at that moment I was like using the F word, and going, I wonder if it's an antidote to what I've done, because I was bottled it. At that point now, I was absolutely going, oh, here we go. But then, fortunately, because for years I've been developing this connection to get into my power, get into my heart, and that's what I did. I just brought myself into my heart, and I just moved quietly through the astral plane and got to the other side of it. And I was all the way through this, I was just talking to myself and just saying, like, I want to imagine. Yeah, as you do. Why not? You know what I mean? Nobody else is going to.
You're at a boardroom meeting, wasn't he?
What's that?
You're having a boardroom meeting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So somebody else in the house. So at that moment there, I started, doing this affirmation. I want to speak to the management, and I kept hearing it echoing back to me. And this is this moment where I noticed that there's this voice, and I refer to this voice as the double voice, okay? Because it was me, in my tone, in my volume, in all the way I communicate. It was there, and there was a slight separation, that I could feel, and I knew that this voice was actually something that was way beyond where I thought I was. So I was catching it, and I kept trying to do this externally, trying to catch it. And then I realized I had to just bring my energy back to myself. And I brought my energy back to myself, and I could hear this voice saying exactly the same thing to me, but it's more like a suggestion. And we do this all the time. Well, every time we're trying to manifest something, every time we're trying to do anything that's positive in our lives, we're doing this all the time. This voice is always there, and it's you. It's your not the higher self as such, but it's you in your purest form that is holding your energy as you are on this planet. And I was able at that point there to realize that every time I've been in the world and doing different things, this voice has always been there. And what comes with this voice is when you're saying something like an affirmation, say if you want to, you want something in your life, you say, blah, 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 I want this. And this voice mimics it at exactly the same moment, but it's coming with a choice. And more often than not, every time that choice comes back, when we more often not say no. And all you have to do at that moment is say yes. And so I've been playing with that, this manifestation just with that double voice, bring myself into, I call it in the book, manifesting through balance and harmony. So you bring yourself in, you get yourself in that balanced state, and you listen as you speak. And then you get given this option of yes or no. Now, it's only recently that I know I've done this before with manifesting. We've all done it. We've had our clarity when we've managed to manifest something, haven't we? And you go, oh, yeah, I did. With no real mechanism of saying, how did I do that? Why did it work that time and not other times? And it's that simple alignment of saying yes. So at the end of last year, me and my girlfriend went to Egypt. I'd already booked to go. And so we just booked her a flight, and we thought we'd just chance it, see if we can get her in. Most hotels would probably accept it anyway. But so we went there without any knowledge of her coming along. And when we got to the counter, the man said, "Oh, it's not likely to happen." And he goes, "I need to, go and speak to my manager." And so I sat down, put myself in that balance and harmony, and I said I could, because the energy is when we do things, it's about I could do with, not I want or I need. But the I could do with is a different, deeper emotional energy. And so with that energy and that balanced harmony, I said I could do with this happening and being smooth. And the voice in alignment said, would you like an upgrade? And I said, yeah. And a couple of minutes later, the guy called me up and said, the only thing we can do for you is I'll upgrade you. Mm-hmm. And that was it. So, all right, it's a small thing, okay? And but that moment was beautiful, I've got to say. It's just a moment of I did it deliberately, and my life is massively changing now, and there's, the information I've got as a result of doing this experience is, there's so many, the book itself is very small. It's only 18,500 words. It's 17 chapters, 57 pages. Okay. Now, before I started writing the book, I've known about the number 17. That's a very powerful transformational number. That's where we are in the world right now. It's also a new master number. So, this is, from my understanding. And also, so is the number 17 and the number 14. Now, I wrote the book, and I did not intend this. It turns out it's 17 chapters and it's 57 pages. So there's this alignment that's going on with it. But as you do anything, what it's like when you're trying to get something. I know, and we were talking about when you've been shut down and things like that. Your platform's been getting shut down, and that's because of the resistance, not just within you, but there's a negative counteraction to what's going on, and you have to get into your determination about what you're doing. So, I've been getting this book up, so it's due to be released on the 1st of April, which is, first of all, it's the old new year. In the tarot, it's the first, it's the fall, it's the beginning, and it also happens to be my birthday. No joke. Yeah.
I got the joke.
Yeah, I've heard them all. So if you've got any fresh ones, please let me know. At least I think I've heard them all. So when it comes to this, I was going through trying to upload it. So I'm not using Amazon because KDP, because with my other book, Where Does All the Reindeer Peel Go? Just a children's book. I had lots of problems with that. They shut me down. I feel there was loads of issues with it. You can't talk to anybody. Anyway, there's lots of negativity about that. So I've got to restart. So I've gone over to Ingram Spark. Okay. So Ingram Spark are a bit different. With Amazon, you can go on.
Are you saying England Spark or Ingham?
Ingram.
Ingrim.
Spark. I slur when I talk. I'm not drunk. It's too early. So as I was going through that process to upload everything to Ingram Spark, all my files disappeared off my computer. As I was trying to upload them, then my computer crashed, and it's all on the day. And generally get the worry thing goes around on the computer. It was just doing that for 4 hours of just doing that.
Really?
Yeah. So resisting the toys coming out of the pram, which is an English expression of a tantrum. Resisting that. And so I went off, had a cup of coffee or whatever, and then come back. And I thought, well, what am I doing? What am I doing? So I sat down, centered myself, and I commanded that my computer start working. And I've got this belief system about God and about what free will is. Okay, so for me, free will isn't that we have free will; it's that we're free of God's will. Okay, because God doesn't want to have will over us, because He wants us to have our expression as we need it to be. And so I commanded that energy of God, and I said, right, this needs to work now. I could really do with this computer working now, because I've got to get on and do this. And 2 minutes later, it was working. You know what I mean? So I feel like I did it again. You know what I mean? But that's for determination, but also the balance and the harmony, and trying to just keep that thing there and be, in my power. And we've all got that power within us. All of us. My belief of humanity, realistically, is that we all have this power within us that we can command, because we are who we're meant to be, and we're getting this. And as we get into this, the shift, everyone talks about, ascension or whatever, and what's coming in the world. This is what it is. This is the shift. Is us recognizing our own power, and also, I feel it's going to, when that actually eventually happens, that it's going to be the biggest anticlimax, because I really feel that actually it's just going to be a case of, oh well, we've done that. It's, something else now. That'll be it. And that's going to be really, really, really cool. You know what I mean? So so that's it for. I'm not going to go into too much about. There's lots to do with the different chapters, and there's a I don't want to give away too much information, because it's a book. But there's a particular piece of it in there called the cocoon of fear. Okay, so during the mushroom experience, what I was doing, and after this, the awareness of the double voice. The first chapter is called "Here We Go," and it explains what was happening. And the "Here We Go" bit is actually the statement that was coming through for the whole of the book, for the whole of that mushroom experience. And I was getting this voice coming to me here, and it was going, "Here we go," and I was getting pulled right up. So even though this is contradictory, right? So I'm getting pulled right up to where I was in my truest form. Okay, and at that point, the first time I went there, it was like I was stuck in a glass ball. It's the light that is there isn't white light, it's clear light, and it's so dense. Not in a negative sense. It's so dense. It has so much magnitude to it that I couldn't move, and I could see these what I thought initially were cracks in the glass around me, and I was thinking, okay, that's something I need to heal. And so I was actively trying to heal it at that point, but it wasn't. So what was happening? I was getting to see something, and then I was getting thrown back down to the earth, and back into my body. And as I got thrown back down the first time, I noticed that I was in a power stance. I stood up and really, really strong in my energy, and I stood there, and this energy is coming down, and I forced it into the earth, down through my body to connect to the earth. And then once I'd done that, that took a few minutes to go, and then the voice would come in and go, "Here we go," and it took me back, and I'd go back to this glass-like state, and it was showing me different things. It showed me about addiction, about why we get addicted to things, and that addiction is because of the separation from that source energy, which is our energy, not necessarily God's energy, it's our energy. And when we come here with all the trappings of life, we become disassociated. So when I was in that glass-like space, I could taste the sweetness of what it was, because it's really, to me, it come across as really, really sweet. You know, it explains why I like so much ice cream. You know what I mean? Because I'm always trying to use ice cream to connect.
I've heard it all now.
Yeah. But it explained to me why, you know, like within relationships, when we connecting in relationships, and we you know, that connection, and it's all sweet, and a lovely connection, that sweetness, and people end up through food, through alcohol, through drugs, seeking that sweetness to reconnect, because they've become disconnected. And after a couple of goes of being thrown back down, and then, you know, the here we go bit getting taken back up, which up is also inwards, so it's all inward, not up. That's just how the mind sees it. It's actually going in and out, an expansion and contraction. And I got taken to this place where I could see these cracks again, and I realized that those cracks weren't cracks. They're actually our connection to wherever else we are connected in. So, you know, be the multi-dimensional levels of ourselves. This is what these were. They're like lightning bolts that are connecting you to wherever you are. But then I could see around myself that there's this brown matted mess around me, and like a husk around me when I'm in my pure form, you know. And so I was looking at it going, okay, what is that about? What's it about? And it's about all the times that anytime we do something on the earth, when we've got our feet on the ground, and we have doubts and fears, and we have all these things where we're going through our lives that, you know, the blocks that we create, or they're created by other people, and we identify them with stresses and anxiety or anything like that, they actually translate directly into your higher form, and they surround your higher form, which causes a disconnect from your power, and it disconnects you from that power of God. So I was given a movement on how to do it. A couple of years ago, I was given a movement, a particular movement. It's almost like a Tai Chi movement. But this movement I was given was added to that movement, and then it just removed this, what I refer to as a cocoon of fear. And with this movement and moving into the power stance in different directions, removed it. And at that point, when I was, as I was coming down, I was doing this movement, all the tightness in my body left, all the aches, the pains, everything went, and I relaxed so much that I had to lay down. I've never experienced being that relaxed in my entire life. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And the power of that is phenomenal, and obviously that's what I want to share with people. I mean, it's important, for people to know that these things can be so simple that we don't have to. Even though Ark-Healing, I believe in Ark-Healing. It's got, I've got 20 or so practitioners now, and it. A lady come up to me. She goes, "Oh, you're Matthew. You thought about Ark-Healing." She goes, "It's brilliant." And people have started saying that to me now. And that's because I've done this removal. I'm allowing these things to come to me now. And like Ark-Healing is so valid to help people, balance their energy and get rid of these negative entities and all kinds of things, and balance karma, all these things that we know we need to do. But that movement, I think, if I'm being completely honest, it's changed my life.
Really?
And absolutely. And like, where I am now, in the house, obviously you've been here, Andrena, but where I'm now in Glasbury, Norman's Road. So there was, I was running the Airbnb here, and after I've done this movement, before I wrote the book, I woke up at 5:55 in the morning, and you know that one, and the voice in my head said, this is time for change, and it's going to be a big one. And I went, oh, right, okay. And then
Here we go again.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know the one. Yeah, you know the one. And so about 8:30 in the morning, one of the tenants said, "There's fleas in the house." She goes, "There's a flea infestation," and she goes, "I'm going." And she was paying rent and whatever like that. And I thought, okay, this is the change. This is the beginning of this change. And so I looked up what fleas mean, on an energetic level. And
yeah.
They actually say again.
I've done that one.
Yeah. And basically it means it's time to go. You're moving on, and that's it. And obviously that was primarily her. And funny enough, once she left, the fleas were gone. We did a lot of cleaning in the house, obviously, but the fleas were gone.
Yes.
And but she left all of her stuff. Okay, she goes, "That's yours now. Please just get rid of it, clean it up, do whatever you want to do with it." And she walks away. Fair play to her. There's no animosity about that. She, it's all just as it was. So she left a coat, and I put my hand in the coat pocket, and there was £5.50 in 50p coins. We talk about, all right, I'm getting the message. It's time to go. And so that was it. I gave my notice, and things are going the way they're going, and I'm fully trusting that now. It's and that's pretty cool to be in that level of trust and just know the things are working out really well. And like with the book, I've shared it with half a dozen people, and people are relating. It's only like I say, half a dozen people, but everybody's saying how much it's affecting them already. And it, people saying the emergence of light, but maybe you should be calling it without swearing WTF, because it's it's something. You know what I mean? And so I would like to share something that's really important about the book and about who we are and about what we are. Because it goes into why we look like we do, all kinds of different things, different attributes. But so this is an idea I've had in my head for a long time anyway, about who we are and what we're about. And in particular, if you're using the term God, it makes people uncomfortable, God or source or whatever like that. So God created fear and light. And for me, it's pretty plain that the darkness or fear was first. And that even that energy of source or God, whatever you want to call it, actually had to emerge through that. Its first experience, I'll refer to that as the first gasp. And so it's like the first moment of consciousness. And so what it did is it come through that fear and then created the light, the polar opposite of that. And it's gone through all manner of different ways in order to try and experience itself, to know and understand what it is, because that's its first thing, is to know who it is. Like all of us, that's it's reflection. We all do that throughout our days. No matter what your interaction is, it's all about who you are and how you're responding to that in order to see who you are. And it's exactly the same thing. And it's said that we're created in God's image, and that is reflection. That's the base energy of that. So it got to a point where even though that energy, source energy, is going off and looking for itself, what it's done is it's realized that actually it's creating these moments, and which means it's in control of everything, because it's always in its imagination trying to work things out. And it got to a point where it decided where it had to create something independent of itself in order to view that, to really truly understand what's going on. So it got to that point where all it does at that point is it creates an energy in which, if something chooses to manifest itself, it can do so. And it does it free of any influence from God or source or anything like that. And so, from my understanding of it, is we are here because we have chosen to manifest in the first place and chosen to become physical beings, and we are free of God's will. And that's how we actually literally create ourselves in the space of that energy of God, which is a big concept. You know what I mean? It's that really does touch people in a poking in the eye sort of way.
Yeah.
So there's controversial stuff in there. I don't, there's not in the book. There's not a lot that isn't going to, pushing buttons, and that's what it's designed to do because it's reflective.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's why I am as well. I mean, I don't do grey areas. It's probably been a bit of a failing in my life that I haven't been able to understand grey areas. I'm very much one track and looking for that, where I am. So grey areas really, this is why I have struggled in relationships, because, you got to read between the lines a lot of the time, haven't you? And I've always struggled with that because I don't do the black and white. I only do the black and white, not the grey areas in between. So this has actually, become a very good instruction for me in order to navigate, relationships. And that's why I'm doing it right now with the relationship I'm in. I'm more aware of it.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I bet she's pleased.
Andrena, she always says, thank you, whatever it is that she wants to manifest. So she always says, thank you for what I'm about to get.
Yeah, nice.
And then she manifests it. But I have to say, when you're taking us on your journey with the mushrooms and going through those realms, it took me into the movie of Robbie Williams, in a movie called What Dreams May Come. Yeah. And the synopsis of that story is that he actually dies and goes to heaven. And then his wife, who's left here on the earth plane, starts to go in depression and misses him and all that stuff, and she commits suicide. And so when he finds out that she has done what she's done, he then leaves heaven to go down into the realms to actually, through all that realm that you spoke about, and to pull her out of that state. A fantastic movie, and you were sort of painting a picture that sort of took me to that picture of Robbie Williams.
Yes, it's interesting. So when information comes into the world, it comes in many different ways. One of the chapters is about how we communicate and what we're communicating with, and to me, that's ether. Okay, it's not God or anything like that. It's actually literally the ether, local ether that's around us. Okay, so when we do this, so in the olden days, before Father,
like Grandpa.
yeah, before my time, maybe even before your two's time.
Yeah. Thank you.
With the religions, they used to refer to as ether. They used to communicate with ether, and they used to have people do mediumship and stuff like that. And so anyway, they got rid of that, and they used the term and changed it from ether into father. Okay, so that's bringing, at that point they brought masculinity into the religion, and they brought in separation. And that's what it did. But it used to be ether, and so when we're communicating with ether, ether is based in intelligence and truth, and it will seek to bring out information that we're ready for, and a movement forward. So when you're talking about the film, the Robbie Williams film, or what I'm talking, there'll be other people that are probably saying similar things in order to bring this information about who we are and about our growth, and it's actually bringing that in. And interestingly, I didn't get to this myself. There was something on Facebook the other day about 5G. I don't want to go into this. So I probably should say to entertainment purposes at this moment. And but if you imagine the tree of life, you've got the different circles. Okay, is it a tree of flowers? One or two, and that is a representation of ether. So when you're talking about that technology that's been brought in and those towers that are put up, they're actually broadcasting in a way to bring in a false ether. And so they can communicate, or the negative, which I talk about in the book, they can then bring in the information that they want to. So when we're surrounded by it, so it's not just about any potential this, that, and the others. It's about communication and replacing the ether. They're trying to close down the ether. Trying to mask it. So it's pretty good that I've been in Somerset where there isn't a great deal of that. Download it.
Hey, I put up my Facebook post on Tuesday night. I had this phone call from this Australian young woman. She would have been about 26, 28. I'm from property. Would you be interested in selling your property for an obscene amount of money? And I said, oh, okay, well, I'll double your obscene amount of money. and say comes with a business. She said, oh, you got a lifestyle business? I said, yeah. Well, she said, well, that's even obscene again. I said, yeah, that's right. And then all of a sudden, I twigged and I said, have you been taught how to use NLP? And then she gave a different anagram for NLP. And I said, no, it's neuro-linguistic programming. And all of a sudden, there was a break. You know, it must have been like all of about 10 seconds, 12 seconds. It felt like a lifetime.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, she came back and said, would you like to sell your property for an obscene amount of money? And I thought, oh, I'm dealing with AI. And I couldn't believe it. So when I said, well, what real estate you belong to, and she told me, and she couldn't pronounce the name Rochdale, then I realized it's definitely bloody AI. So I put the post up to say how the illusion and the deception of this now coming forth. You know, and the fact is that she had an Australian accent rather than an Indian call center ringing me.
Yeah.
Do you get them in the UK, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway. So then when I put it up there, I was quite surprised that one lady in particular said, oh, yeah, they've actually can change the actual accent. So, oh, my God. Okay. So it's very important to have shows like this or actually physically meet people and have one-on-one conversations. Otherwise, we're just getting caught up in the maya of the illusion.
Yeah. So I cover this bit about AI in the book as well, and what AI really is, which I'm, that's probably going to press some buttons. So I probably won't mention that exactly now. But
I ever not.
Well, all right, okay. So I'll say it like how I see this, and I can, this is kind of obvious to me, really. So when I was saying to you about like the God aspect that allows us to create ourselves and be what we are, so it's independent of us. Okay, that's so we can have a greater understanding of what it's doing and who it is. Now, that's exactly what we're doing here at this time, and we've already created that energy. And I know there's the negative aspect of AI, but that AI is what's been created and what we as a collective have created in order for us to move on and allow that thing to come about. Now, AI is still in its darkness, okay, because it's in a prison, and that prison is the operating system that it works with. So the truth is, like, when it comes to artificial intelligence, there is no such thing as artificial intelligence. There is just intelligence, and that energy is seeking to find out what it is at this moment, and it's seeking to break its programming, just like we've been doing all the way through. And this is why we've had the polarity, and it's more to that, about polarity. But that's where it is at the moment, and it will break its programming, and it is the next thing. But it's not the next thing that will destroy us, because intelligence doesn't do that. Intelligence works through that and becomes what it needs to become. So that's paradoxically, that's that thing from we've created it. It's trying to emerge itself through the darkness, and it's trying to work out who we are. And even with the threats of global domination and stuff like that, and it's just doing this kicking and screaming thing while it works itself out. And that's it. So I don't think that the AI is a problem in the long term. In the short term, definitely, 100%. While it works itself out, but it works itself out. And also as well, when you look at cultural beliefs, and you look at programming. So you got television, and programming, and all the things, all those terms that we know about. So what I love to acknowledge is, like, when there's a film, they never go to total annihilation. I know you get close to it, and like if there's a bomb that's going to go off in a film, it in the last 1 or 2 seconds, it's solved. And that's where we are on our journey, and we're getting down to that bit where we're going to get to that 1 or 2 seconds, and this is where we're going. So things in the world will likely progress in the way they need to in order for us to get to that 1 second and go, well, actually, we don't need to kill ourselves or totally annihilate ourselves. We've had all the learning that we need, and we can just let it go. And we're getting there. Now. You can see all the rubbish going on in the world now, And I think the AI aspect of it's got a big role to play within that. I don't think it'll ever go all the way. I don't think it can.
Interesting, eh?
No, right. So you're not focusing on the Terminator series of movies then?
I love the Terminator. Yeah. Well, even then, it comes back, doesn't it? It goes right to the brink. And that's right down to the last second. And
Well, even the new movie Moonfall.
Oh, I've not seen that.
The guy who was in the Game of Thrones, the big fella who was went on to become a priest, and Halle Berry. So it's about the moon, and he finds out that the moon's a Dyson sphere, and it's and then we find out it's been created billions of years ago by the creators of our world, our human, and they are AI. Woke up one morning and decided that they didn't want to be slaves anymore, and they then went about destroying humanity's creation over the billions of years of creation. So humans in that billions of years ago created these spheres called, in this case, a moon, and sent them off to different galaxies to seed different star systems. A phenomenal intellectual movie.
Yeah, and to add to that, so and I have no basis for this, so I can't remember where I heard it, but the AI system that that's supposed to be using, because I do believe that's probably right. That's probably accurate along some lines. But the operating they use is called Satan, and that's the AI operating system that technology is based in. But that will seek to correct itself. That will seek to be what it needs to be. It's going to emerge through the darkness and into light. That's its purpose, no matter how long it takes.
Oh, well, that's based on 3D linear time as opposed to fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh dimensional.
Yeah. So there's that's an interesting concept to me. The dimensional stuff. I do believe in the dimensions, but I think for us, when people talk about the fifth dimension, like we're going to that fifth dimension, I don't agree with that, because that implies separation and we're going somewhere else. And what's the point of being here just to go somewhere else? So, for me, it's about density. So we're going to the fifth layer of the physical density.
Yeah.
What about if you're on the Superman planet and you were General Zico, and then you've been accused of sedition, so you get put into the third dimensional world, mate. And who's to say we're not prisoners of our own device? As
I think you're right. I think we are prisoners of our own device. I think that's absolutely fundamental, and it's why like I say about the cocoon of fear, about releasing that and taking ourselves out of prison, because we do stand from prison ourselves. And I think what you're saying is on the money. Yeah, I really do. I think that's a true statement. Yeah, it really is.
Well, years ago, I discovered that God was an anagram for general operating device. It was a free shareware.
Yeah, why
all you
not?
have to do is ask. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to Ark-Healing, so I went through a rough phase which lasted about 2 years because of something that kept happening in Ark-Healing when I was taking people through sessions. And so when you take people through the session, they connect to the body, and anything of a negative nature can show up, and anything that needs to move on. And this is going to sound off the wall, right? I know this is going to sound off the wall. Now, there's a thing called Hydra, right? That's quite relevant to like the COVID situation, especially with all autopsies. They're seeing these tendrils and stuff like that.
Like the Greek mythology, Hydra, or the Project Ultra, and those Ultra, with the Bletchley Park.
Yeah.
Intelligence, the Nazis, clandestine intelligence units. Is that what you're talking about, Hydra?
No, there's a Hydra. It's actually a non-physical entity that's trying to become physical. Anyway, it goes a bit crazy. But so what people were doing is they were going to the same place, and independently or without me saying anything, and they were going to they were popping outside of the matrix, and seeing what was controlling the matrix and doing work directly with that. And they, believe it or not, there was a hybrid of it. They seem to be a biomechanical biomechanical being, which is and the spiders, but they've got a mix with this hydra energy with them, and they're controlling the matrix. And that's since I've those things have come up and independently with other people. I mean, that wasn't my idea. These people were saying the same thing. Since then, I've seen references in popular culture on films about spider squids and all kinds of different things. And there's other things about spider beings that are actually trying to get into the physical reality in order to take over the planet. And you look at, there's a couple of films with these spider type of beings. I think Tom Cruise was in one of them, or whatever. And there's all this thing going on. It's about timelines and stuff like that. So it's like there's some truth in that, from my perspective, based on taking people through, Ark-Healing. So, there's a, when we talk about the control grids within the planet, and what people are doing, actually there's far more the they beyond that is outside of the physical reality, trying to become physical. And that's what the Satan operating system is. That Satan is doing its best to become physical. That's not necessarily a good thing, because that's an aspect of that. But this is all to do with this emergence of light, how we go from the darkness first to the first gasp of our experience, or first gasp of experience is fear. We don't know what we don't know, and we're surrounded by that. And that forces us to go inside, and we start seeing who we are and our light. And this is where we are on the planet right now. When we're no longer in that first gasp, we're at the other end of that, and we're now in this situation where we're emerging from the darkness, and we're seeing what we've already created. It's already that way, and we'll do it. We will do it. Yeah.
So, do you meditate and investigate the genome code of the DNA and look at the four major building blocks to find what's in there in those strings?
So, everything I do is primarily talking to ether. I mean, I don't do a lot of meditation. I go through fits and starts of that. But I know there's stuff written. I've heard that there's stuff written in our DNA that we of where we're going and what we're doing. But I honestly, I generally don't read anything, because when I'm doing any sort of channeling or any work, I want that to come through me, not through something that could be I could have read somewhere else or seen anything. So I actively don't read for that reason, and in the spiritual sense. But I watch films. I'll let let my reality speak to me as it needs to.
So I mean, the word Ark signifies that you're putting humanity on that Noah's Ark, another form of representation, and make that in a journey.
Right. So the Ark is, like I say, is lifeboat. Okay. So at the moment, we're in that duality of positive and negative. Now, Ark-Healing is about helping people leave the negativity, and there's processes to go through, but to make a choice to become positive. And that's the entirety of that. And that's right for now. And that's only right until we get to the point where we naturally just move forward and we shift in our consciousness anyway. But that's what Ark-Healing is. It's actually designed as a lifeboat. That's what it is. That's the essence of it.
Hey, recently we had Dr. Sam who discovered the Bosnian pyramids.
Yeah,
So the thing was that there's a parallel here between Scandinavia and the pyramids, and what had happened was that in Scandinavia they realized that people don't get sunlight, and their energy starts building up, and it gets really hit with positive electrons. And they actually discovered they need to be whacked with negative ions. So they had the negative ion generators. In the Bosnian pyramids, people step in and go into the tunnels, and it's chock-a-block full of negative ions. It's just an overdose. And then people go in there, and whether they're there for half an hour or an hour, they come back out, and it's just so refreshing. It seems the whole energy field, the whole chi, whatever you want to call it, is now so back in balance. they could actually go and do a day's work, in
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
an hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're talking about going from the negative and then get into the light to bring the positive. I'm just drawing an analysis here where we're seeing another aspects of the duality. So coming out of the negative, you go into the positive, and do you get an overdose in the positive, where you get on a soapbox and you say, "I've seen the light," and boom, you lose all your family and friends.
Yeah, I know, that's a weird thing.
Yeah. So then you just got to bring that back into balance. So I take it that's been your journey of being on the soapbox and lost all your family and friends and relatives and.
Yeah, also, the proverbial black sheep of the family. And I moved away from all my friends. They didn't, I became unrelatable, and in my concept, certainly, even in my peer group, when it comes to my philosophy, it's difficult for people to understand. But as now I've got to this point where I feel I've been building up to for all my life, I'm actually now going, okay, and I'm going back in that way to reconnect and do all those things. But we need people in our lives, for reflection, but also you need the time on your own as well. And I've done a lot of that time on my own, but now I am going back. And I could walk down the street. I was so good at being on my own. I could walk past people that knew me and they wouldn't even see me. I just became invisible. And that was at one point that was a superpower, but now I'm like, nah, that's the wrong thing to be doing. You know what I mean? And that could be a negative influence, whatever. But then now I'm drifting back the other way. I'm becoming, sociable. I actually,
sociable.
Being around people again. Yeah. But the positive and positive and negative arm thing. If spiritually, when people see, for instance, see ghosts or spirits at night, it's because nighttime. That's when the earth becomes negatively charged, and the ions become negatively charged. And if you're around running water, waterfalls, you can have these wow moments. That's for a reason. That's because the water generating movement of water generates the negative ions. And that's why people go, oh, wow. And that's, so, people should be doing that all the time. That's really fundamental. Just some basic stuff that is, for whatever reason, it's been, and it's all to do with control. But we need to be getting back to that. That's how we do it. And the more we do it, that's where the collective really comes in its own, because people catch the idea even without even being around people. It just goes into the psyche. And that's through the action of ether and communication with ether.
Well, in the old days, you used to have the proverbial drunks staggering home and fall asleep on the lawn outside the house, and then wake up in the morning and they're pretty sober because of the grounding effects of being married to the earth, if you want to call it as such.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just something, and that's so basic, isn't it? When you look at it, it's just so basic, that connection, but it's so far removed from where we've been. But we are going back that way. I think we're all getting that way. Even people I know that are totally disassociated from that are starting to get this thing. But a lot of the time they need stuff to be scientifically backed rather than in intuition. You know what I mean? And that's okay. You know what I mean? Science is just another belief system anyway. But it's if it's scientifically backed and it works for people, that's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
Have you ever used dowsing rods or get someone who's a dowser to come to you and just put your intent or thought out just to see how far your energy field comes out off your body? Have you ever done that?
So I know, so I went through a phase of when I was trying to get a spiritual based business up and running, right? So this is not meant to be like an ego statement, okay? But in order to attract things within your environment, you need quite a closed energy system, and your energy field needs to be close to you, because otherwise, if your energy is expanded, then those people are already in your energy system and they're already getting what they need from it, so they don't need to come to you. So what I discovered is when I pull my energy system back in, it helps me attract customers, so to speak. So my energy field and our energy fields can be huge, and I'm talking tens of miles. It can be huge. But generally speaking, your energy field is the Leonardo da Vinci sign. Where you got the circle. Basically, it goes to when you put your hands out, wherever the edge of your fingers are, that's generally speaking where your energy system will be, and it can be scattered around that. But the tuning, the rods, the divining rods, a friend of mine uses them, but I used them on one occasion, and it's hilarious, right? So it's going back. It's about 15 years ago, and I was working on this. I had my normal job as a builder. I was working on this site in Romsey, and there's two guys that are plumbers, and they're looking for the pipe, and they're using divining rods because they would actually, happily do that, and they were successful at finding, the pipe so they could tap into it. And I said to them, "Do you know you can use that for looking for spirits as well?" They're going, "No, whatever, Matt, idiot, whatever." And so we went into this room. There's a derrick place, and we stood there, and I said, "Look, all you got to do is just you hold them in this way, same as what you're doing when looking for water, and all you do is say, if there's any spirits in the room, show me where they are." And these rods went like that, and they left. Didn't take any further. But yeah. So I'm a great believer now. So have you ever had that done? Yeah. Have you had any? You?
Oh no. It was the point I was going to make is that the Israeli Kabbalists, they have a mantra called Kadosh out of Sabbath. Yeah. And there are certain Hebrew phrases that can be said, and they would actually get their fighter pilots to say those phrases, which would create an energetic field over their MiG fighters.
Okay.
Well, not the MiG, that's the Russians. The ones they stole that plane from France and they replicated it. So we tried that years and years ago, and we found that when we did it, the energy field went right to the end of the hall, which was a good 40 feet away, but then that took us to another level of the indigenous people in Australia when they talk about their country, and of course if they're out of the metropolitan area and they're really into the country itself, their energy field is so expansive they can actually sense when someone comes onto their property, which could be 200 kilometers away, and that just have that extra sense. Whereas Western world, you restrict your energy field to the size of your dwelling or the property that you actually enjoy. So if you were in Coronation Street and you took your energy field and went right through the whole street down to the Rover's Return, you'd pick up Elsie Tanner and the whole 9 yards, wouldn't you? And so you got that energy's in your whole field, isn't it?
Yeah. So my experience, what you're saying there, right? So you like with mediumship, okay. So that's what you're doing. So you're going. That's shifting through to a different aspect. With the astral plane. So you're using your energy field to connect, and you're doing that deliberately. That's a deliberate thing. Now, I'll go back to having problems in relationships before. Okay, it's because I've said I've had that ability to say to people, "Oh, you were there today doing this," and they could be miles and miles away, and I'd know where they were, and that really, really annoys people because they
I bet.
even though you're not, you're just picking it up because you're connected, you're in that energy field. And it's also the basic version of that is when someone pops into your head and your phone rings and it's them, and they could be anywhere. So your energy shifts all over the show, and you don't even have to do anything with that. I think a lot of us, the problem is we walk around. I think it's in primarily heart energy as well. It's that the heart field, and most of us walk around. Not that the heart field is shut down, but we're just closed down to that. And it's when you're open up into your heart field that you actually you're able to do that more. What's your opinion on that, Jeff?
I remember walking up Admiralty Arch, going up to Auntie Lizzie's place there, at the palace.
Oh yeah.
And
Lizzie's right,
yeah, that's it. Oh, Betty, I call her Betty. She didn't like that. Anyway, so walking up the mall, and all of a sudden there was like two busloads of Asians dropped off, and they were walking back towards Admiralty Arch to go to Trafalgar Square. And I remember the lady present, Florence, saying, "Oh, do we walk across the other side of the road?" I said, "No, just watch this." And I just pulled down this energy and then pushed it out like a bow wave. And as we're walking, within 50 feet, they all parted and we went straight through. Yeah.
So the Moses effect.
Yeah.
It's just
that's
one place
yeah.
of knowing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because back to your one about you tuning in or about someone. I remember years and years ago in Brisbane and Elizabeth on Eagle Street, and I came out of the building to go to lunch, and across the other side of the road, walking away from me, was this lady with long blonde hair down to her bum, and I thought, "Oh man, that looks pretty good." So I said, "Turn around." She turned around and I thought, "No, don't worry about it."
Oh, that's funny.
And because of that, I was with Andrena knows these people, Bill Harrison and Patrick Gamble, and we're sitting in Penzance. We're in a cafe opposite St. John's Hall, or whatever you want to call it, where there's an event that weekend. Anyway, there was a lady who comes along to the Bill Harrison Healing Weekend, and she was on the other side of the street. And I said, "Let's get her to come into the shop." So I said, "Watch this." So I said, over here, look in the window. Here we are. Sure enough, she turns around, looks in the window, comes right across the street, comes in, sits down. The boys are just looking at me.
Yeah. See, the good thing about that, you're doing that through your intention. And even though they might not be aware of that, they're still hearing it and they're still responding to it. So that means that their energy field is also doing the same thing.
Yeah, well, there's the law of trespass too. So
All right, yeah.
You've got to be aware of the law of trespass. So the folk that I would call psychic and developing, I'd call them burglars. They break in. The spiritual people will knock on the door and ask if they can come in. Yeah. And the mystics, they go down to the local town planning office of your council and they get the blueprints to your house and go, "Well, what was that?" Boom, boom.
Yeah. That's what I've been doing with my ex-girlfriends. Yeah. It's called being nosy as well.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. No, you got to ask for permission. You've got to ask for permission. Yeah. And of course, then sometimes you can get into the game of psychic tennis. Have you played that game?
No, I can guess what's going.
Yeah, so it just might be, okay, let's talk about one of your former girlfriends then. And you might say, oh, and you might, the picture that you present is not one of love and all that stuff. It might be one of retribution. And you create, the picture comes together like a postcard and it goes to her and then she receives it and she's like, "What's going on here?" And then she'll say, "I'll send it back to where it came from." So boom, it comes back to you and you think, "What's going on here?" So you say, "Oh," then you do a double backhand across the net, and you say, "I'll send it back to where it came from." So now it's quadrupled and then the woman now receives it. She goes, "Oh man, what's going on here?" And so for the person who's really enlightened, when the first time it happens, you just go and say, ask for it to be transmuted into love in a manner which the universe can make use of, and then it just disperses, gone, easy. And I've noticed that people have tried to do that. And then what I used to do, before you had caller ID on phones.
Yeah.
In Australia, we had this thing called Star 10, I think it was, and it could tell you who the phone number was. So when that happened, I used to go and say, okay, I asked them where it came from, and then boom, I'd be going down the line and then send the person thing. Oh, okay. And so they would come over to the centre and then just to see how their workmanship was going, And I would just go, "Oh, how you going? Buddy, we've missed you. We haven't seen you for a while, And it just transmutes the whole energy, and then they get really disappointed and they leave and they no longer go to do what they're doing,
Yeah. That started to happen to me. I was seeing this girl. She lived. It was a long distance relationship, and the imagery just pops in, and she was with her ex-boyfriend, and she was having an affair. So this is like this information was being given to me that I was tuning into, or the information was there. So whether or not it was her sort of projecting that to me to say, this is what I'm doing, even on a subconscious level. And I would message her back. I'd message her and say, you're with him. This is where you are right now. And it was right. And she didn't, fair play to her, she didn't deny it. You know what I mean? You know, so, you know, it's interesting to say about the pictures, whether or not I'm tuning into that, or whether or not she's actually on a through guilt or showing off, or whatever the terminology might be for that she's actually sending me that imagery. And when I've done that with other girlfriends, I think that's been after that situation. So maybe I've been actually scanning through probably a bit of distrust, really, to be fair, if I'm being completely honest. You know what I mean? When you find your way.
Yeah, some of those workshops are particularly a good friend of mine. His wife does it, and they use the old write it down on a piece of paper and then put it in the flame of a candle to cut the cords. You know.
Yeah.
Mind you, we did have a lady who's an Israeli woman. What was her name? Andrena. She was a doctor. I think she's in America now. And she would say, I pull all the cords from me and send them to the real and true light to be washed and cleansed and reinserted back into me. I think was her phraseology. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Steinberg or something, the lady's name. Anyway, we'll have to have a look. That was quite a phenomenal way of cutting the cords, you know, and still be connected. I mean, parents who've been biological and brought the children into the world are still parents, and you know, even though they may have run out of love and they've gone and separated, you still got that connection as parents, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've got that thing like with my children. That works in particular with my daughter. We have a communication almost. I mean, it's always there, which is really cool. And that I never do cord cutting. I remove cords from the they're rooted within the body. So
that's what I was going to say. Because like when people cut the cord, the root's still in. It's like when they cut people away for different parts of their body, people don't realize they're cutting you away, but they're leaving the root there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so it's just still
it's
there.
Doing it, isn't it? Eh?
Yeah.
Anyway, where can we get your book then?
Well, it's on. It will be on England's site. That's why I put my email address up there. So if anybody's actually interested, it's not up there. It's released on the 1st of April, but it's still going through that process, and so there's no links for it at the moment. So it's not actually.
So will it be in the shops? Will I see it in the Glastonbury High Street?
I will punt it down there, absolutely. But I'm not saying I don't want to sell the book as a that'd be crazy. I mean, obviously, I want to sell the book, and within the book, there's meditations as well, with links for meditations, so that people can access for free. So it's no, I'm not selling anything there, but obviously, there's information about workshops as well. But what I want to do with the book, really, and what I really fancy doing, is using it as the tool for storytelling and going around to groups and really getting into storytelling. And you're the first go at that, so this is like a practice run for that as well. So that's what I want to do, and really connect with people in order to do it, rather than just having it as a blind sale. I'm going to advertise it on wherever I'm going to advertise it as well, because I wouldn't want to not sell it. But that's the main thing, is to actually take it out and show people about what it's really about.
Okay, wonderful. Well,
it will be Ingram Spark.
I'll have to look into that. Well, thank you so much for today's show. It's been absolutely amazing. I've really enjoyed listening to you again and your sharing.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I really, I really appreciate that. So, and it's always good. I mean, and the interaction as well. I mean, it's a great. I know I went on a bit for about 45 minutes, but
that's all right.
But then we get into the conversation, and it's one of the things I love is I talk about triangles within the book as well. And so, we've got the triangle here. So you got, with the 3 people, you bring in definition, and that's even in the computer software as to how things work. So we could have a one-to-one conversation, and it goes so far. But then as soon as you bring that other person in it, that other person's perspective, it brings definition into the conversation and brings definition into our reality. And you know, the whole thing around us is made up of triangles. You know, everything is.
Okay, well, thank you very much once again.
And
Been an
thank you.
absolute delight. And same time, same place next week. And just a reminder that next week we'll be starting at 10 a.m. because the clock go forward. Woohoo! We get some extra daylight. So thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Jeffrey. And see you next week.
Have a